Okay, Ashton, let's get into week 11. And so, as always, we'll do our game draft. We'll each draft 5 games going back and forth. It is my turn to have the number 1 pick. So, yeah, I guess looking at the options, there's a few good ones. I think I know which one you would for sure pick, number 1. So, I'm going to go ahead and take that game. I think I agree with you. I'll take Ole Miss at Georgia. Georgia favored by 11.5. Am I right in thinking that would have been your first pick, or did you have a different game in mind?
No, I would have went with Michigan, Penn State probably.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, too much playoff implications. I think
fair
the
enough.
line says a lot about the way Vegas thinks this game will go. Georgia favored by 2 scores,
Yeah.
Michigan favored. It started out as 3 in the hook, and now it's up to as much as like 5.5. But yeah, there's clearly Vegas clearly sees that differently. They see the Michigan Penn State game as being more likely to be close. So I would probably lean towards that. They're both. Hey, by the way. And okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and take Penn State, Michigan with mine with my first round pick there. So yeah, I think that's it's a good game. I wonder how Penn State fans are feeling after seeing how you played against Ohio State. I think Penn State has the talent to hang with almost anyone. I really do. I think they've got a ton of talent. They've got NFL bodies all over the place. Their coaching crawls into a turtle shell against top teams. They really do. It was nothing more evident than that Ohio State game. Penn State and James Franklin in particular has a really bad record against top 15 teams. That's just the truth. He can't really beat them. So it's interesting for me that the line is this low. I'm just going to say that. I'm not betting it. I'm staying far away from it. It's just interesting to me that the line is this low because Michigan has been a far superior team. Michigan mauled Penn State last year. Michigan's a matchup problem for Penn State in every way. I know they don't have the signals this year. I've heard those jokes. Michigan doesn't have the signals this year, and that is what it is. Their most important coach may not be on the sideline. Connor Stallions, by the way, not Jim Harbaugh. We're just talking about Connor Stallions there.
Right.
I think this has all kinds of great storylines, and in no world do I see Penn State winning, but Vegas apparently sees otherwise.
So there's 2 ways to go with all of this stuff going on, for lack of a better term. Like there's just this, One camp obviously will say, well, that's, you can't really focus with all this stuff going on. So right. Michigan will clearly be worse. And I think there's another camp that probably says this galvanizes the team and they fight harder together. Like everyone's out to get us. We're going to unite and take on everyone. Which one of those camps do you lean more towards?
I would lean more towards the second one, that everyone is out to get us, because the fact of the matter is that all the Big Ten coaches, they had a big conference call or Zoom call. I don't know what the platform they use these days in the big, they're probably on something like Zoom or something. And they were pretty much like, we all need to go after Michigan. Like we need to suspend them. We need to keep them from winning the Big Ten again. So everyone is out to get you if you're a Michigan fan. And by the way, there's been just enough inaccurate reporting in all of this, things that came out that were not true. We found out later were not true. Now, okay, there's a lot of stuff that is true. And it does look like that was Connor Stallions indeed on the sideline of Central Michigan against Michigan State. That is probably him. And it did look like he had a camera in his glasses. That also probably happened. However, there's a lot of stuff that has come out that's been inaccurate. So there's too much going on. It feels like there's kind of a mob circling around Michigan, everyone's trying to get them. And as a Michigan, if you were a Michigan fan, I'm not, but as a Michigan fan, you should feel like they're out to get us. Mm-hmm. And I think the players and the coaches have to feel that too.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Ohio State has this thing where they like to say Ohio against the world or whatever.
Yes, right.
No one has a claim to that more than Michigan right now. Like it really is everyone trying to get you. So I do tend to think this will bring the team together a little bit.
Is any of this stuff valid? Like what should happen to them?
Yeah, I mean, you mean it's bad. It's basic. It all depends on your perspective, but it's I keep going back to this. Like, if we're going to make a big deal about the Astros and their cheating scandal, this is
Right.
essentially the same thing. It's
Okay.
it's not great. I think Harbaugh will be suspended if he
Mm.
comes back for next season. I don't think it really affects their season this year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll give it a 17% chance that he's suspended for the Ohio State game or something like that, but only about a 17% chance.
Ryan Day was asked in a press conference if that was him who had called in the private investigators on Michigan. And he said he didn't say no. He didn't say no. He just, yeah, I'm just not going to get into that. But he kind of smirked. And so, like, I don't know. I'm just saying it's interesting. All kinds of fantastic storylines. Can you imagine if somehow both of these teams make it undefeated and get to play each other? Okay, the Big Ten is rooting for Penn State to beat Michigan and then Ohio State also to beat Michigan so they don't have to deal with it. So then they don't even have, that's not even a problem. Michigan has 2 losses and they're not going to make the Big Ten championship. We don't have to worry about them.
Yeah.
If Michigan wins and wins out and goes to the Big Ten championship and wins that, like that's nightmare scenario for everyone. So yes, the Big Ten referees in this game are they're going, in my opinion, that's the guys that you have to watch in this game. How will the Big Ten, they can't publicly go out and get after Michigan, but they don't want Michigan winning the league this year. They don't.
Right.
So yeah, it's all the teams in your conference as well as the actual conference office itself that is rooting against Michigan. It just makes for more storylines. Like, I think Michigan's probably going to win out anyway.
Yeah. All right, with a third pick, I'm a bit torn here, and there's 2 games that I'm looking at. This is a good week to be picking second, by the way, because you can just take whatever I don't take. But I'm going to go to Washington. I'll take Utah at Washington. Washington favored by 9.5. Washington. I mean, obviously we know great season for them so far. They're undefeated. Utah has kind of been the Pac-12 team the last few years that beats the team that is supposed to win the conference. Like, Utah is the team that actually does win the conference when everyone thinks someone else is supposed to. And I think at this point, we all probably think Oregon is going to win the conference, but Washington is the team in first place right now. They do have the head-to-head win over Oregon.
Yeah.
How concerned would you be if you're Washington going into this game?
Yeah, I mean, quite a bit. Are you kidding? We just went to USC and had to beat a Heisman Trophy winner and had to put up, 52 points to do so.
Yeah.
And then Utah just is sneaking up on us the following week. It's a little concerning. Washington they're not okay. And this year they've been better at stopping the run than previous years, but like, Utah's probably going to be more physical than them, right? Like, Utah's probably going to march into your place and be more physical. And can you continue to throw the ball? I think is the question. It's a concern. It's a concern. Washington is good. The whole hand Oregon the conference notion that everyone is kind of on right now is a little bit premature. Like, Washington did win that football game. I know it was at home. And I know that they would not be favored if that game was replayed at a neutral site. I understand that. Washington is good. Washington is finding a way to win these games when in previous years they would have slipped up against Arizona or they would have slipped up against USC. They're continuing to win. Something needs to be said for that. I think Washington they're being disrespected as much as anyone by still being ranked 5 right now.
Yeah.
Like, in no world, are they the 5th best team? I think that they've got, they might be the 5th best team. They definitely have the best win of anyone. So, like, their best win is better than anyone's. So, yeah. Right. Anyway, good pick. Yeah. Good pick for you. I'll move on to mine. I'll go on to Tennessee, Missouri.
Yeah.
That's the obvious fourth best game this week. Tennessee going to Missouri coming off a really tough loss. Tennessee favored by 1 point. Mm-hmm. This is a fantastic game. This is going to be at 3:30. It's going to be on CBS. This is going to be an electric factory. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be it's for second place in the SEC East. And again, games like this define how you feel about your team in the off season. You're probably not, neither one of these teams is probably going to win the East. That's probably going to be Georgia now. but this defines like the pecking order. Like who was the second best team? Who was right there? Who's knocking on the door of Georgia? That's what this game's for, and it's worth your watch.
Yeah, that's the obvious pick. I like that. I if you're looking at the line, like you kind of maybe I personally had a little lean towards maybe the home underdog with Mizzou there, being the 1.5 point underdog at home. But with thinking about it more, like to me, I think this is the type of game you just stay away from it and you just watch the game and enjoy it.
Yes.
Maybe you have a different thought on that, but that's kind of what I came up with. Fine. Well, that's where I ended up with.
No, the same. Yeah, I don't have a definite lean on it. Just it's going to be an excellent game. Really nice atmosphere too. Sit back and watch. Yeah.
Okay, we kind of get into the next tier of games here with the 5th pick. Oh,
there's 2 really good ones that stick out right here. Well, 3. Yeah.
I've got about 4 in the next tier, so I'm not sure which one to take.
Okay. Take the one with the lowest point spread.
I'm going to take one. It doesn't have quite the lowest point spread, but it's one of the sneakier, more decent rivalries that a lot of people are not aware of. I'm going to Florida at LSU. LSU favored by 13.5 here. LSU has 3 losses. Florida is fighting to make a bowl game. So neither one of these programs are where they wanted to be coming into this game, but this is still a really good rivalry and a fun matchup for sure.
It's an underrated rivalry. This is a night game in Baton Rouge, which is a fantastic watch anyway. This is Florida desperate for a win after really falling apart against Arkansas this past week. Both teams off losses. Both teams really need wins. Can you imagine how different we feel about LSU if they lose to Florida after losing to Alabama? You know what I'm saying? Like these are this shifts the conversation. Games like this, as you're winding down in November, they shift for what your conversation will be for your program in the offseason. And that's important. So it would be a huge win, by the way, for Napier if he can go and get that done. Love that pick.
By the way, I'll just say real quick, like the preseason, Florida's win total was 5.5.
Yes.
And we both took the over and we were very confident in it. And partly through the season, it looked like it was an obvious play.
They were 5-2. They were 5-2. Sure. They were going to hit it.
Yeah.
We needed that Arkansas win. We really did.
Not quite so confident at this point. They might be going into the Florida State game the last week of the season, needing to win that game to get to a bowl game, which would be huge, by the way, for both schools.
I am serious. I am serious. Florida is going to give Florida State all they can handle.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, that's coming. Like that's going to be in the swamp. That place will be buzzing. I'll just leave that one alone. Florida will give Florida State all they can handle. Okay. Takes it back to my pick. You guys know what I've been doing. It's Pac-12 after dark. Come on. USC at Oregon.
Ooh.
Oregon favored by 16.5. I know the line is high. We're going to have really good quarterback play in this one as long as Caleb is still planning on playing, which I think he is. That dude cares a lot. I've actually gained a lot of respect for Caleb Williams the last couple of weeks. When he could have shut it down and people told him to shut it down because a lot has been lost for USC and they can't win anything, no trophies. He stuck with it. That dude is Jason Bourning, that team right now. He is Jason Bourne. They don't have a whole lot else. And that dude's incredible. So I've gained a lot of respect for Caleb. Bo Nix at Oregon, the whole team, everyone's kind of, they figured Oregon out now. Oregon's a good football team. They're really, really good right now. Pac-12 after dark. Dude, it's sad. Maybe some of the last Pac-12 after dark games we'll ever have. We're in November now. We're not guaranteed anything that, maybe the Big 12 will do something late. Maybe we'll get some late windows somewhere else. Enjoy them while you got them. 10:30 kick on Fox. Yeah, absolutely. Sign me up.
Yeah, I like that pick. USC gets one more chance to play spoiler. At this point, that's what they're playing for. So definitely gonna have to watch that one. All right, for my 7th pick here, I'm going to go to Texas at TCU. Kind of just an upset watch here. In recent memory, TCU has kind of owned Texas, like weirdly so. Even years where TCU was not very good.
Right.
And obviously with Quinn Ewers out and Malik Murphy not playing very well, like is Arch Manning going to play? Like there's just a lot of questions going on with a pretty good Texas team who still has a good resume and still probably controls their own destiny. Not completely, but about as much as you can while still having a loss. The line 9.5. TCU's not very good this year, but Vegas clearly is thinking that this is not as simple as just Texas is good and TCU isn't.
Don't mind it at all, especially if the quarterback situation is not figured out for Texas. This game can get frisky in a hurry. Yeah, it's the Big 12. I mean, a lot of things can happen. I do feel like Texas is on another plane this year, though. Like, I think that they are better. And TCU, by the way, there's been a steep drop off for TCU since a year ago. Like, they went to the championship game a year ago. That seems like forever ago. Like, this TCU team is way different, and they're not fantastic. They're really not. They're a middle of the road Big 12 team, but it is the Big 12, so anything could happen. It's kind of a dice roll there.
Right.
That takes it back to my pick. I'm going to go Alabama versus Kentucky. This is at Kentucky. Kentucky's good at home. Alabama only favored by 10.5. What does that tell you? This game stays close. Alabama coming off the big emotional win against LSU. That's their biggest regular season game, every year. That's their biggest rivalry. They won that. Well, I guess Auburn maybe technically is, but the LSU game is the one that they lost last year and the one they had to have back, right? Bama coming off of that game, huge win. They have to go on the road to a super physical Kentucky team who's they're not flashy, but Kentucky is winning games. Like Kentucky's 6-3. They've lost to Missouri, they lost to Georgia, they lost to Tennessee. But they hammered Florida and they beat up on Mississippi State last week. So they're just kind of sitting there. Not much is going to get talked about. Almost all of the public money is on Alabama, which I think is just fascinating. Like that number is really low. Vegas clearly wants you betting Alabama. I think that should say something right there.
Yeah, that's one. I might fall for that trap later. We'll see.
Okay. I hate to out you like that.
No, that's fine. Okay, so I have one more pick. A good depth week, by the way. Just lots of games that I want to watch if I have time. And I probably won't have time for all of them, but it's actually pretty tough because there's so many good games this week. I'm going to another upset watch game. Oklahoma has lost 2 games in a row. And now they host West Virginia. West Virginia quietly is 6-3. Pretty solid year for the Mountaineers, considering their preseason expectations. And Oklahoma's reeling a little bit. They've lost to 2 pretty bad teams the last. Oklahoma State was not bad. Kansas is not bad. I guess 2 teams that were on paper clearly worse than them the last 2 games.
Correct.
West Virginia, like I said, sneaky decent. There's this very real chance that this is not a close game, but I'll take it with the 9th pick just because it is a little bit of an upset watch for me.
Don't mind it. I'm going to go with an upset watch as well. We're going to the state of Florida, Tallahassee, Doak Campbell Stadium.
Yes.
Miami goes to Florida State. Florida State favored by 14 and a hook. Miami, they do have talent on their roster. Talented rosters, especially if they're underperforming, they will sometimes put it together for 60 minutes of glory and go for the upset. I think this game stays fairly close. I really do. I don't know. That line is actually probably correct, but if it gets into the second half and this is a 1-score game, Florida State does not have room for a loss. They really don't. They need to beat Miami. I don't know. This one could get close. This upset watch. Severe upset watch. This one could get feisty.
I feel like this entire week is upset watch week. Like this week could drastically alter the season as we know it. It just feels like there's so many games like that you could kind of see it. Like you could kind of see the underdog, even though they're 2-touchdown underdog. So just something to keep an eye on. This could be a memorable week for sure. So park yourself in front of the TV and be a couch potato.
There's a world where Caleb Williams goes off and USC beats Oregon. Kentucky is super, good on defense at home and upsets Alabama. Penn State pulls a rabbit out of their hat and beats Michigan. Say those things like there's a world where it is total chaos come Saturday night. Like absolutely wrecked. And we have, I mean, it's 2007 all over again. Like there is a world for that. I don't think Ohio State's in trouble. They're playing Michigan State, who, I mean, that could be famous last words. Maybe Michigan State will put it together. You know, they have kind of found something recently. But Ohio State's favored by 35 points. They're probably safe, knock on wood. But yeah, there's a lot of games where it's definitely within the margin of like, ooh, if that's a touchdown, if that's a one score game late, like the pressure is all on the favorite. And sometimes those teams crumble. They really do.